So a philosopher says or writes, wolves do not tolerate an attack by one wolf on another if the latter wolf demonstrates submission by baring its throat. The same is true of foxes and domesticated dogs. So it would be erroneous to deny that animals have rights on the grounds that only human beings are capable of obeying moral rules. So before I even look at the choices, let's just dissect what this philosopher is saying. It would be erroneous to deny that animals have rights on the grounds that only human beings are capable of obeying moral rules. So it'd be erroneous to make the conclusion that you need to deny animal rights. So the conclusion, the erroneous conclusion, according to this author, is deny animal rights and this is on the grounds that only human beings are capable. So the premise, and this is the erroneous premise and conclusion, that according to this author, so only humans capable of moral rules. So I would call that the premise. And what the author seems to be doing here is like, hey, look, this premise is wrong. It's not the fact that only human beings are capable of moral rules. And he's giving examples, wolves, dogs, foxes. So let's look at the choices. The philosopher's argument proceeds by attempting to provide counterexamples to refute a premise on which a particular conclusion is based. Well, that's exactly what we just said. So it doesn't always work out that nicely, but it did this time, where there's this conclusion on this premise. He wants to refute the premise by giving on which this conclusion is based by giving counterexamples. They're saying, hey, well, it seems like wolves and foxes, according to him, and dogs do have some type of moral rules. So this looks like a pretty good choice. So he's refuting this. So he's refuting it with this first part of our little passage or our little statement. He refutes this premise, which would then undermine, if someone makes this conclusion from this premise, they wouldn't be able to make that conclusion if they're going off this premise. So let's look at the other choices. Establish inductively that all animals possess some form of morality. No, he's just trying to give some examples of animals that he knows that at least he perceives to have morality to undermine this premise. He's not making a case that ants and everything else must have some morality just by giving a few examples. So this is definitely not going to be our choice. Cast doubt on the principle that being capable of obeying moral rules is a necessary condition for having rights. So he's not attacking this premise conclusion. He's not saying that, well, you need this premise, you need to have moral rights in order to make this conclusion. He's refuting anyone who goes through this logical chain right over here by refuting the premise. So he's not casting doubt on the principle that being capable of obeying moral rules is a necessary condition for having rights. He's showing that, hey, there's some animals that have moral rules. So let's rule this one out. D, establish a claim by showing that the denial of that claim entails a logical contradiction. No, he's not actually trying to establish a claim. I mean, it's starting to feel that he's trying to by saying, it looks like this is someone who would argue for animal rights, but he's really just trying to undermine someone else's claim to deny animal rights. So he's not trying to establish his own, or she's not trying to establish her own. Provide evidence suggesting that the concept of morality is often applied too broadly. No, it's in fact, the philosopher is, I think, trying to get to a place that's the opposite, trying to assume that it's too narrowly applied only to humans. He's making a case, or she's making a case that, hey, or starting to make a case that this, some logic for applying it only to humans, to denying it to animals, is false. So this is definitely not going to be the case. So we're going to feel good about picking A.